we start with a presentation from each of us. It's a 10 minutes presentation roughly, and then 5 minutes Q&A. And afterwards, we're discussing just like the master thesis and what you can expect after your graduation and all kind of stuff related to the masters. Okay, I guess I start now. So I'm talking today about guiding innovation using energy system models to improve the value of energy storage. So when I'm talking about this stuff, I'm generally encountered with these two questions, like, is it possible to avoid a climate disaster? Is the energy transition possible? And I think both comes practically down like to the question of how much wealth we want, like we're willing to sacrifice. For example, with the climate damage, if we think we should take it into account for future generations, I mean, it's basically an economic threat for future. Are we willing to sacrifice that? The same with the energy transition. If we are not making it in a clever way, maybe we also sacrifice a bit of our wealth. Instead of paying for electricity, you could afford more food, more ice cream or whatever. So in context of the energy transition, we saw this cost reductions in solar, wind, and wind offshore. And I mean, they just decreased so drastically. We can even nowadays in some Middle Eastern countries build something for less than 2 cents per kilowatt hour. Like I just saw an auction from Saudi Arabia, I think, on that. So what people might ask is like, is maybe the energy transition solved? I don't think so, because there's actually something else beside cost on the whole story. And it's called the value side of the things. So what you can see here is like a graph with a value factor, like indicating how much valuable is the technology in the system, and then the market share. And we see, like, in all kind of systems with increasing market share of a technology, let's say instead of 1% installed capacity, we have then 10 times more, 10%. We see like always this kind of decrease in value the more share we have installed of this technology. And like this stuff, it's real. Like it was proven in recently in many countries, like it exists in every system. So just the value is decreasing. Why it's reducing? Like there are things like curtailments, transmission expansion, peak load plants. We need to install because of the more variation in our profiles, or also other flexibility demands. So, and we, like what I found, like what I'm doing in my research is practically, like I recognize these problems that we have existing, like that existing cost reduction and cost and benefit approaches are not addressing if a technology is really valuable in the future. So the question is really how, or according to what metrics can we design, or should we design a technology in the future? We don't have anything yet. So, and the solution which I'm investigating at the moment is maybe energy system models might guide and help technology development. So what you can see here on the right is something I modeled with a tool myself. It's called Pipes Europe. And yeah, basically what it does is it's collecting a lot of existing data, solar data, wind data, spatially spread, also like satellite data is included. It includes like existing power plants and existing network structures from end to E. And in a clever data handling way, it can really assign in a kind of realistic way where our generation capacity needs to be in a future, for example. And so I was talking a lot about value and cost stuff, right? So a result of my research was so far that also a high cost technology can be equally valuable, or sometimes even more valuable, like a safe bet option than the low cost version. So if you compare, like I plotted here a low LCOS hydrogen storage and a high LCOS hydrogen storage. So with a lot of assumption, you can make a cost matrix and assume some stuff. And here the low cost is around 20 cents per kilowatt hour. The high cost is around 26 per kilowatt hour costs. And what I plotted here is practically each of these 181 points. I calculated for each of these points the LCOS. So, and first of all, we see, okay, we have a pretty broad range of LCOS. And another thing I want you to focus on is that the market potential for this charger, in this case, is indicating that storage is optimized by the model. And when it's optimized by the model, it practically means, okay, it has a value in the energy system. So in both low and high LCOS case, you see like big dots. It means it's a lot, like in a high volume optimized, and it means practically both technologies are valuable. And in that context, I'm investigating what is the value of technologies and helping to guide it. And yeah, and I actually have more on that, but I cannot fill that in this 10 minutes and explain you all about that. I'm also publishing a paper, which is soon available, maybe in spring next year. And yeah, like maybe what I just want to mention is that I'm also doing some co-supervision for the thesis. So maybe someone might be interested in energy storage. I'm searching one for a review about exotic energy storage. Like energy storage, people think, oh, they're too expensive. But what we saw now, it's not just about being expensive. You should also look at if it's more valuable. And then I have also some two other modeling positions, and we can talk more about that. I got a website, like I just set it up recently. There's some more informations, and yeah, just let me know if you are interested. All of this work of your thesis is also planned to be published, so you will have your first journal article. And that's it from my side. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Max. That was great.
Yeah, and I think now, like, are there any questions? We got 5 minutes for some questions.
So if anyone has a question, either unmute yourself or write on the group chat.
Yeah, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's that tool you're using to do all those modeling?
What this tool is doing, you mean?
I mean, what tool are you using to do?
Yeah, it's called Pipes Euro. So Python for power system analysis in the European context. Yeah, and it's just looking at the electricity sector. I got some more information on my on this website, and you can just look it up. I think I shared the link there.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I also have one question. Does the website describe more in detail what, like, how your model is built and what you're actually considering in that model?
Like my paper is gonna talk more about that, but like this model and how is it used, like I didn't develop it, but I know how it works. And there are many other papers on that, like I think 10, 15 papers. It's like, I think it was developed in 2017. So if you want, I can also share some papers on that, and you can see what is possible with that model, what kind of limitations you have. Yeah, just like write me an email and I can send you some stuff if you're interested in that.
Yeah, that would be interesting because like in a short presentation, it's obviously very difficult to explain
Yeah.
what all of the background is, like to understand the whole thing.
Yeah.
Max,
Yeah.
has this been inspired by your thesis, by a dissertation project, or is this completely different from that?
You
Like,
mean
are you
from,
building on, or
is it building up on my thesis?
yeah?
Not really.
No?
It's actually like I did in my thesis more some deep electrical engineering stuff, like what is power, you know, like what is harmonic power, and
Philosophical questions.
yeah, and a kind of simulations stuff, but really about a different part. It's more about power quality, and I think this stuff, what I'm doing now, it's more about like what's my interest. And I was reading some papers about flexibility, and also about this value cost issue, which I wasn't aware before, and like that just fascinated me. So that's how I set up the PhD project. Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool. Yeah.
Amazing. I just feel like, do you want to share more about like how the opportunity for thesis, like supervision would be like? You know, what is the experience? What is the objective? You know, for people interested.
Like in this kind of project, you mean? I mean, like, I mean, I was writing some benefits from that. Like, I'm working actively in this research stuff. I will teach you how to use this model. Like, it took me honestly like a month or 2 weeks to set everything up. But now when I explain it to you, I can do it, and I also have a instruction how to do it, and we can do it in 1 day. So like basically you would learn how to, like, what is modeling, how to do this modeling stuff, and you will also do some stuff with energy storage. I mean, that's a hot topic at the moment, and like it's really the aim to make it make storage better, like improve them. Yeah.
Something apart from this, sorry, but should we start setting up Mike's presentation in the meantime?
Mick, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
Mick.
like I'm
if you
sharing.
stop sharing your screen, and I can take over there. So for me, it's going to be a little less detailed, more like a bit broader, like what were my decisions, what did I like after my master's, and where did I want to go from there. Have you stopped sharing much?
No, we're still seeing Mac's screen.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, now it's free real estate.
Let me see. Yes.
There you go. Okay.
So
Presentation mode,
yes.
and we're good to go.
Yeah. All right. Cheers. So I was in Max's year, so that's more than a year ago, 2018, 2019. And after the master's triggered a lot of interests, a lot of papers, a lot of new topics that I'd never heard of before. And I really didn't have like one set topic that I wanted to dive in deeper. My thesis was on marine energy, on tidal and wave energy, what effect that would have for energy pricing if you integrated that into the UK grid. I really enjoyed that, worked together with some startups in that field as well. And my main interest was to see that you had all of these brilliant ideas coming up, well, some more brilliant than others, but lots of ideas coming up, and all these startups struggling with the same problems, and not necessarily confined to one type of technology, but more to see that, you have all these ideas in all these different branches. And I wanted to be involved with these companies that try to make it in their own way and become feasible companies. So I was looking for a more of a consulting job focused on renewable energy projects, and I ended up working at Greenfish straight after we stopped. It's back in the Netherlands. I'm from the Netherlands, so I'm in the Amsterdam office. But it's a European, Belgium, France, and the Netherlands, spread over a couple of cities. And basically, all the projects we do are focused on renewable energy and also like other sustainable projects. And my special focus there is to help young startups get past the valley of death, and also basically help companies accelerate their own energy strategies and develop renewable energy projects. So that's what I'm looking at now. I just wanted to go quickly through the company Greenfish in a bit more detail there. In the Netherlands, it's still starting up, but in Belgium, consultants are spread over lots of different industries. We have like the technical advisory part is where we form a team and we work within the company. So to set up a particular project, or to, I don't know, for sometimes you'll be working within that company as a team from Greenfish, and that's spread over all these sectors. Like I said, myself would only be useful to go for the energy sector there, but with lots of different engineering backgrounds, there are things to add to all of these other sectors as well. So my focus is finance. Also, Antonio just spoke about the energy finance. That was, for me, kicked it off a little bit. It was maybe not the most impressed by the course at the time, but after all, it did bring up a lot of interesting topics. And I just really like the combination between finance and the energy projects there. I'm working more on strategic advisory. So like I said, helping these startups progress, and also accelerating projects that would otherwise, in the Netherlands, you've got a lot of subsidies, but not a lot of people that actually know what that can do for your company and how you can use these to develop projects. So that's where we come in. And what we do is, so we've got a couple of different parts of the energy. So it's energy strategy. That's basically more zoomed out for bigger firms, looking at, all right, how are you gonna create business models there. Market analysis is more for the startups in that. So one of the projects I've been doing is Tocardo, is one of the it's a marine energy tidal firm as well. They are trying to bridge that gap, and they're basically looking for opportunities in small island communities to deploy their turbines. And then I did market analysis study for them, and then roadmap development of how they could implement these. So that was a nice project there. And at the moment, I'm working more at project acceleration. That is for government, or for business parks, or private equity firms. Like basically, people have an interest in lots of different buildings and want to make these whole areas more sustainable. We create strategies for them and help them through their projects to accelerate that transition to sustainable energy supply. Third pillar is energy efficiency. And basically, there is a lot of legislation in the Netherlands, at least at the moment, that you need to audit and measure your energy consumption, and then apply strategies for how you're going to reduce that over the coming years. So we also help a lot with that. And at the end, all three of these are normally combined in one project. I could go into a little bit more detail here for like one of the projects we're now, the acceleration. So basically we help with subsidy applications. Then it's defining as many project risks at the start. For instance, for a solar project, could be like roof structures, could be a whole list of risks there, the connection to the grid, I don't know, lots of different factors. Then we create like an overlap between consumption and production to make the best build the best business case, also using storage in there, and combining that, for instance, with for big business parks. At the moment, we're also installing a large wind turbine to create like a nice averaged generation profile. And then that's what I just called like storage, different types of generation, optimizing the business case, and also reducing your energy consumption to get you the perfect balance there. Then inviting companies to tender for that. So setting up a tender to invite companies to participate and get a good deal there for the clients. And then also some project management through the whole construction phase. That's a nice other side of it, where you actually are on the construction sites with the construction engineers there and the companies and like the whole group of stakeholders. So that's basically the process that we walk through in a project acceleration. Thus far, it has allowed me not to make a choice. That's very good. Of course, you had like all the options within sustainable energy systems, where you like wind or marine energy, or where you're going to do solar, or I don't know, like lots of different options. And I didn't really want to pick and choose then, and I still enjoy working in different sectors as well. So it's a nice way to combine different technologies and get to know something about all of these, like deploying, like getting to know more, and at the same time being quite of a getting quite of a like a generalistic view of a transition for companies there. So for me, it's at the moment it's no use. Yeah, this is a presentation I use for customers as well, so I I'll just stop it there. All the references are not really of any use. Let me see. Yeah, these are some of the companies we work with to help them through their energy audits, and in solar energy as well. All right, I'm just going to stop it there, the sharing.
Perfect in time, Nick.
Yeah? Nice, great. So what I basically wanted to say is how I got there, why I chose to do this, and what my day-to-day work entails at the moment. But if anyone has any questions about that, feel free to ask them. And if anyone's looking for a job, also feel free to send me a message. You have to speak French, English, or Dutch. That's the only requirement there. Any questions?
Well, if I can ask a question, what has been the most challenging audit you had to do for now? Like,
so the audits is not something that I'm like actually performing the audits is not something that I'm involved with directly. So I'm using the data from the audits to to optimize the business case in there. So I haven't been performing those myself, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to perform one of those?
I don't know. I like I don't know, working out the numbers at the end, and I'm not more than going through the factories myself. But at the same time, it is interesting. So I think I'll be going on a couple in January, going along to check roof structures and grid connections as well. So you get to combine those at the same time.
Great. Well, someone asked for your email, please. So I guess privately message them.
All right, I'll do that.
For me, I was just wondering, like being a previous student on the program, I'm thinking like, what might be of interest to people would be like, what courses do they need to take to, like set them up for this kind? Because I know like the SES program is so diverse, you could take a variety of courses. So like, which of them would be more geared towards, this kind of work? Also, the second part would be, what kind of thesis would, equip them with the ability to, jump on this kind of project? You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
so good questions. First, I would say for me, like the slogan of Greenfish is business-minded, sustainability-driven. So for projects to take off, there has to be a business case for a company to actually go ahead with this. So for me, the energy finance course has been a very good start of that, and energy economics as well in a more broader sense. So I did enjoy those. So I guess that probably that direction is important if you want to initiate these projects. I found that out, and I'm also doing some online courses now as well to expand like the finance knowledge as well. Second part, the type of thesis projects. Yeah, it's always difficult because of course there's I don't know if you found your own thesis project, but I basically set it up with one of the options that was available there. I had my specific like interests, but it was very nice for me to work together with be able to actually use company data for my research. So not just be online, but actually be involved and communicating with companies. So that was with Orbital and Minesto. There's like some companies in the marine energy sector that I had contact with, and it just gives you a different feel. So I think that's something that really helped me, and I enjoyed that a lot.
Great. Yeah, I'm gonna go on next and like share my screen and talk about some of the things I'm doing.
Can I quickly ask one more question?
Like we have 2 minutes left, like for questions.
Yeah, ask the question.
But
ask the question, and meanwhile, you can set up.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning that you wanted to say how you got into the job that you were doing specifically, but maybe I missed that. But could you quickly wrap up again how you actually ended up doing getting into this company in particular?
That was LinkedIn. I don't know, contacted by someone LinkedIn. I was looking at similar things, and I think probably the recruiter saw that I checked out her profile and then got a message back. So that was the lead towards that. Or is that not what you're looking for? You're looking for more than that?
No. That was kind of all I wanted to. I was just curious. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, great
Okay.
stuff. Can I jump on now? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Good. So my name is Kunle Owolabi. Yeah. So I'm a PhD student at Tufts University here in the United States. My research is more very interdisciplinary. We're looking at predictive risk systems in a variety of systems like energy, also some human natural systems, including ecology, agriculture, and like climate systems as well. So it's more broader in its picture. So today I just want to share a bit of my story, because I find stories to be very interesting. And like as a previous student of this program, what are some of the opportunities you can leverage in terms of like data science and machine learning, which they are buzzwords in 2020. Some of the things we can leverage. By the way, I was the SES program rep also during my time, 2018 and 19. So briefly, just like my story, my trajectory, I started off back home in Africa, in Nigeria specifically, where I did some things relating to energy, oil and gas specifically. Then I moved on to join the program, just like you have today. And it was a 1-year program, like doing some power system stuff. I was more into like microgrids, so I took that on for my thesis research, which was really interesting. Right now, like I've said, I'm doing more machine learning, grid modeling. I just found that, I like data. I like to, play with data and, leverage insights from these things. On the left-hand side, you would see some of the, companies or some of the experiences that have shaped my life today. Some of them including the SES program, University of Edinburgh, and my current university, Tufts, here in Massachusetts. Also, like currently Facebook, I'm joining Facebook as an intern next year. So it's been a journey. In general, talking about energy data analytics, what is this data buzzword? that we're hearing today. What is it about? So 3 things have, shaped the world of data as it is today. The first one is data itself. So with like the sensor technology, with the range of smart metering technology we have in energy systems, we are able to collect a wide variety of data from different sources at much more higher resolution. There are systems that can collect data at like seconds resolution. So that has improved our access and the churn of data that we have today. And with that, it's so powerful that you can like leverage insights from some of those. Secondly is the infrastructure. Today, like, say 50 years ago, we didn't have some of the fast processing capabilities that we have today. Talking about like GPUs, talking about like parallelized distribution system, and some of those have facilitated, how we process data today. The last one, which is not necessarily the least, is the modeling capabilities that we have today. Talking about some of the huge ability and capability that has been developed both in research and in industry when talking about like machine learning, the world of deep learning, and just like, how these modeling capabilities have grown in general. So out of that, I kind of highlighted, some of like the brief, aspects I know of like applications of data in the energy system. First is the energy efficiency, which is basically, asking the question about how can you improve or optimize energy systems. And that could be like building energy systems. And I put like deep learning, machine learning have been really, really useful in this kind of applications. Another part is the AC/DC power flow optimization problem, which is very prevalent in power systems. There's been like a lot of application of neural networks as well in this kind of fields. I mean, the reason why I'm bringing some of these things up is, it could like inspire you as well to sort of think about some of the ways you want to like research or like, your thesis and some of this as well. When you look at energy access, is also something that, CV is computer vision, where you like harness the power of images and try to use that to, understand, what is energy access. For example, Duke University, they have like an interesting project on this, where they're trying to, use map technology to sort of understand what is the energy access in Africa, like what villages have access to some of these things. Yeah, there's also application in resource detection, also sustainability. Actually, like my lab here, we do some things using like natural language processing, which is NLP, to sort of understand, what is sustainability, how is it being applied in policy, what is this buzzword? So you could sort of scrape papers or scrape resources and see, if sustainability is really a key thing in that industry or something like that. My own research is more focused on the reliability part, where you're trying to, use data to understand the power of predictive models and help the system in general, to be more reliable. An example of this is like the power grid itself, where you're just trying like to, use data, maybe data on power outage measures and things like that to sort of understand how you can predict or understand in the future, how those systems can be reliable. I'll go to the next slide. This is predictive risk investigation system, which is basically my research. We're trying to use big data, machine learning, and data science to connect risk and understand risk propagation in all these systems. As you see, like it's like two-way interaction in some places where, you see the impact of ecology and energy. And like a subset of my research also, connected to this is trying to look at like how, birds, we found that birds actually have impact on causing power outages, and how can you mitigate such, or how can you predict such? So there are also like a variety of applications, including like climate, space weather, agriculture, finance as well, and hydrology. So this is just a summary of the kind of research I'm doing. So I'll go to the next slide, where I just like summarize some of the career opportunities. If you want to go this route, what are the career opportunities that you can, harness in energy system? So you could be like a machine learning engineer. You could be like a data scientist with like masters. You could enter your masters and go join industry or research or academia as like a data scientist, if you do things related to like energy data analytics and things like that. So what this data analytics does for you is like it opens you up to a wide variety of jobs as well. You're not just constrained to like energy. You could look into tech and some other things like that. So you could also be like an energy researcher, where usually you need like more advanced degree, like PhD, postdoc, to really engage in that line. Yeah. So this is basically everything, but this is my contact here. If there are some of you like interested in like data applications, you could shoot me up on LinkedIn or like email, and we could talk more about this. Also, like myself and Max, we're looking at some of like the data. We're looking at some applications in like Africa and trying to look at some data gaps we can fill. So you could reach out to him or me to sort of like, we're trying to collaborate with more people to sort of come up with that paper, like a review paper, trying to see some of the gaps we can fill in using data in energy for like Africa and all things like that. Yeah. Yeah, if we have any questions. Yeah.
Thanks, Kay, for this great presentation.
Yeah, thank you. I'll stop sharing now.
Okay. Are there any questions?
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to find out what are some of the data analysis and data science application in microgrids. I think this is specifically directed to the guy who just presented. So I wanted to find out if there are any specific applications that stand out to you that we can try to take up for dissertation and stuff.
Yeah, we do have some very interesting. The problem with like microgrids, I mean, we have microgrids everywhere, but like specific for my research as well, like my thesis research in Edinburgh, I did something related to like looking at microgrids. And like we looked at like 3 communities back home in Nigeria. I had to go home to like get data for some of those and try to like analyze and try to look into how to optimize those microgrids. What can they do better? How do you like better manage those grids in terms of like because you have clean energy grids, you want to know like the optimal flow or optimal access, like how these 3 different resources, maybe like solar, wind, and maybe a generator could like interact in that grid. So we wanted to look at that, and we got data for that as well. So that's just one part, but there are many other aspects you could explore data. One challenge with like Africa, looking at microgrids and all of this is just the data might not be available, or it's not properly formatted. Those were the challenges I faced. But in general, like data, once you get the data, it's easy to sort of start looking at it and playing around with it and trying to get inside.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question actually.
Okay. Good.
So in terms of looking at the fact that we don't have enough data in Africa, is there like a way that we can try to use models from like other places, maybe like Europe or the US, to sort of like mimic what would be the case in Africa, because we don't have data. So what if we use data from other places just to try and adapt it to the continent?
Yeah, I think some of those are possible, but they are also like kind of challenging, you know, because like the terrain is different and like the resource capabilities are different as well. But there's definitely, you know, it's possible. Like there are some models, some energy models you could like, I'm not sure off the top of my head right now, you know, what those energy models are, but it's something like we could look into and try to like see, you know, what ways, you know, you could apply some of those like models from like developed areas to like developing. Yeah.
Can I maybe add something? I think it's also the good part. I mean, you mentioned the existence of data. It's really important. So, I mean, a good questions also like for the thesis would be, okay, why we don't have data? And there are actually some issues, why like problems on the political side, social side, or sometimes even they don't have the knowledge that this data can help. It's like how this data can help. So
yeah,
like working on this, I think just in general to get an idea, like what is the problem in that field, like with a review or anything like that could also.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's something myself and Max and some other researcher were trying to look into, like, oh, what is the problem? Where can we feel? What are the data gaps? So that also could be like a starting point for like a thesis or something like that.
Okay, like I have another question, maybe also in general interest for this group. How do you think can people move into this data science area? I mean, like what we had in the SES course is not really related to data science, and now we're speaking with you like you're a machine learning professional. Like,
it's interesting. I mean, you just yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like it's a constantly growing field, but so like the earlier you get into it, like the better it is. Taking the SES program as well, like I wasn't really like a data person, but like it took a lot of like self-commitment, you know, after the program. And also during my thesis used a couple of like data science, like data. I use data, not like using some extreme techniques, but it's just like the willingness to start to delve into some of these. And honestly, like my PhD as well, like just made me get into that directly. But I think it's more like because there are a lot of resources out there, you know what I'm saying? Like everywhere, YouTube, Coursera, and all of those that you could easily engage and start playing with data. Yeah.
And maybe also in general, like for people like who are interested in like data stuff, like if you want to model things, you need some data handling knowledge, and I think it's also a perfect way in the thesis to teach you that stuff. And it's really feasible. Like I think it's a good foundation to start with that in the thesis, and maybe you can do something more afterwards, like Kay in the PhD, or also me in the PhD, or even in work. Like it's a good knowledge to have. Okay, I think we need to.
Can I ask a question?
Okay, Pablo, go ahead.
Thank you. So what tool were you? I mean, Olukunle. Yeah, I can't say your name properly.
Yeah, Kunle is my name. Just call me Kunle.
Yeah, Kunle. So I mean, and what tool were you using like the most for like all these data analysis, like Python or?
Yeah, Python. For my PhD, I use Python, and we use like for machine learning, we use like, you know, Keras or like TensorFlow. Yeah, those are some of the architecture we use. But it's Python. The language is majorly Python. So if you could get hands-on experience in Python, like while you're on the program, that would be
I think that's pretty cool. And one like last question, I don't know if you could like tell us a bit about like how did you like end up doing that PhD as well, which goes even deeper into, you know, machine learning and deep learning and all that.
Yeah, I think it's a long story though, but like it's just basically like some luck as well, like, but it was just like my passion for like, you know, trying to use data for some of like the energy applications. So that was like my interest. So all out, I was looking for something, you know, that wanted to engage data and also, you know, use like energy systems. And again, one word for me actually is like interdisciplinary. I wasn't, after the end of the program, I knew I wasn't here to like study something so specifically. Like that was my takeaway from the program. So I wanted like something broad ranging, something involving like climate, involving like everything, but also using data, and not like power system specific or something like that. So that was some of the things that pushed me into this kind of research I'm doing currently.
Yeah.
One quick Kay. Just out of it's a nice thing in the Netherlands, they just launched a new podcast called NEPA. Never expect power always. It's about the energy system in Nigeria, and it's bloody interesting. Honestly, it's in Dutch though, so that's unfortunate for.
Can you share that with me? I mean, that would be really interesting.
I'll share that with you. Yeah. So some of the interviews are in English, but quite a lot of it is in Dutch as well. So.
Oh, nice. That would be cool. That's really cool. Like it reminds me of, because never expect power always is just like an abbreviation for a defunct part of the government responsible for like energy stuff. You know, we don't. It's just like to show how unreliable like the system is general. But it's interesting because I'm studying like reliability right now. And how to like make the system more reliable. But it's unfortunate because like I'm studying the US grid and how to make it more reliable, whereas like back home it's like, you know, way less reliable, you know what I'm saying? But it's just interesting that you could apply some of these things towards that. Yeah, I'd have to go now. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, like Kay's leaving now, like he's not joining the next session, he's busy. Thanks, Kay. Thank you a lot. Very interesting presentation. Okay, and Antonio, let's move on with you.
Yes. Do you see everything fine?
Yes.
Are you still also seeing me and you and everyone else, the screen, or is it just the whole presentation?
It's the whole presentation.
Perfect. Okay, then nothing is interfering. Oh, so hello everyone. My name is Antonio, and I'll be giving a short presentation on energy access, a little bit of the background, how it ties into rural Africa, and what my company is doing right now in OnePower, and then I'll also tie that into the dissertation, and how you could take the pointers of everything I'm doing right now and maybe look for some ideas for a project in energy access. So. What's energy access? Well, there's not a clear definition, but the IEA defined it best as a reliable and affordable access to clean cooking and electricity, and the ability to have some basic bundles of energy in the initial state, but then an ability to improve that in the future. And so why is that important? Well, in the current global energy right now, was found that in 1990 by the World Bank, 71% of the population had access to energy, and it has improved to 87% in 2016. But there still leaves around 13% without any electrical access. And broken down into further detail, those 1 billion people, the majority of them are in sub-Saharan Africa with 591 million, 254 in South Asia, and the remaining 100 in East Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East. And so why is that important? Well, at national level, many countries such as Liberia, Burkina Faso, Tanzania have more than 95% of the population relying on biomass. And we all know that the byproducts of those fumes can cause damages to the lung. It can stagnate the growth of kids, and overall it's just a fire hazard. So it is important to address those issues and improve the energy access of those countries. Some of the challenges, though, is due to high cost of connections, or unreliable or inexistent electrical grids, low population density, very spread out, and everything in between. It creates either a financial incentive to not produce these costs connections, as there's no income to be attained from connecting those communities, or they just don't have any demand for it because they know that they don't have the money, or either that or there's difficult access to those locations. So many of them died down in the developing stage. And so a country that I'm working at right now, what my company is doing is in Lesotho, which is surrounded by South Africa in the south of the world, basically. And right now over there, there's 2 million people living in the nation, with 30% being urban and 70% being rural, with a majority of the urban being in the lowlands and everyone else in the other regions of the south and center. The population density over there is 71 per kilometer square. In comparison, the UK has 270 people per kilometer square. So they're very spread out. And the majority of the electricity is only accessed in the lowlands where the electrical grid is. There's some planned for expansion, but it's still being on the works. And some of this issue is because Lesotho is a very mountainous region with high ridges, canyons. And what this means and translates to is that there's no infrastructure such as roads. Sometimes you have to travel by horses. And so it's difficult to transport all the equipment. And last but not least, Lesotho only produces 72 megawatts of hydropower in Meula, which is way less than the 150 megawatts of peak demand that they have. So much of the import is only being able to be accessed by their neighbor, which is South Africa, or a far off neighbor, which is Mozambique. And so this is some solutions and opportunities that they can have by expanding the electrical network, creating a varied generation methods such as solar or wind. Or the other method is by looking at rural electrification, tackling via two methods, creating a solar package, creating something that is unified, standardized, and it can be connected quickly and constructed easily, or creating something that's more tailor-made for the area and the community. And this is where my company steps in, OnePower. It was developed by Matt Orzoff and Amy Mueller in 2015. And my job over there right now is developing the power trackers through mechanical means instead of electrical, and also helping with the micro grids and managing the day-to-day basis for that. And so the company, what we're doing right now is we're working in the three different methods. We're doing the 20 megawatt solar power plant to expand the national grid. We're creating 12 solar packages, which are the figure seen before of those crates, which are easily connected for medical clinics. And last but not least, we're also tailor-making 25 microgrids for all communities over there. And so going further into that, the one we're currently working is in Hamakebe, which is a pilot project right now. And you can see all the connections in the figure above. And right now, we currently have a system of 12 PV 400-watt panels with a battery system and backup generator. And the system for paying method is a pay-as-you-go AC smart meter, where the people in the homes have a connection with their phones to the electrical grid, and they can pay the units they need when they need them. And it gives some control and semblance for the consumer, but it also gives them some reliability in those low income areas for a nice continuous flow of money. It's not much, but it's still a continuous flow. So we end up making bank. And that's the best, that's like the financial difficulty in the end for these microgrids. So we're planning to increase that to 76 kilowatts for 1,075 connections. And one of the major things as well that OnePower focuses on, our operational lead, actually, Tamer Tucker, amazing guy as well, wrote a case study for this, and it's the best practices for integration, for safety and community engagement. And so what we try to do is not only impose a technology over there, but get some of the community to be involved in the building and construction, creating some part-time jobs. And we also train technicians and engineers locally. So in the end, because we do have established a company base in Maseru, in the capital, but as I said before, it's difficult to access these communities as they're very far away. So having someone locally who is knowledgeable and can operate and maintain the system is something that is very important for us. And also having the people accept the technology, not being imposed on them, allows for some safety in knowing that because the community sees it as they own it, as it's something they are part of, it will protect it more. And so there's less theft and damages. And so moving away a little bit of energy access and going on to the dissertation. So right now, all of you guys have gone through first semester. And what it is just gives you a guide and a basis of everything renewable. So you got a clear background into all the technologies, electricity, mechanical, economics. And now that you're going to second semester, you can choose something more focused, more high level. So my recommendation right now through the holidays right now is to brainstorm some ideas on the things and subjects you truly are invested or interested. And from there, create some possible projects for discussion with your supervisor for next semester. And tying the two things together, say that you enjoy everything I've said for now in energy access. You could go for some ideas where you could study a nation such as Burkina Faso and create some possible designs for microgrids of planning and installation to create some access, either create a standardized unit or something more tailor-made for a community over there. If you're more into something more micro-manageable, you can always look at modeling the consumption of a company or an industry such as a whiskey distillery in Scotland and provide some solutions in reducing the electrical costs for them. That is energy access, and that's actually very important for some industries. And last but not least, if you're interested in the whole social science, the ethical integration, green grabbing, and all those things, you can always look at how you can distribute these generation methods ethically into these communities in the third world country, looking at literature reviews of things that are already existent, how you can improve your methods, and in the end, create an overall safer project. So that's been me. I hope it gives you some ideas of what you could do, some concepts and some interests. And in the end, energy access is just very versatile subject. So you can go into very different things, but it also is very focused and very concrete. So you can really see the changes that you're making. So thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them now.
Thank you, Antonio. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I mean, just out of like curiosity, like how did you end up getting there to like yeah, OnePower there in Lesotho? I mean, like it's quite yeah, random. You know, the funny thing is just, you know, I've been to Lesotho and it's like middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So my story is that when I was very young, my dad got an offer to travel to India and work over there. He works in banking. And afterwards, we ended up living in Ghana for 2 years. So I grew up in Ghana, basically in Accra, in Western Africa. And from there, my interest of creating access in energy and solutions for people in Africa and in third world countries sparked from there. And I met a lot of amazing people throughout my years. And I ended up working for placement in my old university in Equatorial Guinea. And it gave me also some background into everything. And I ended up doing a dissertation in my old university for energy access and water access through some standardized solar panels and pumping for groundwater. And afterwards, I basically through my CV in LinkedIn. A few people checked it out, and this company, OnePower, saw me. One of them actually knew my father. That's why they saw my LinkedIn in the end. And I got an interview, and they really liked my dissertation. My first one, not the second one. The second one for the master's in Edinburgh was different. But yeah, and so they hired me, and I'm here working for them.
Great. Nice.
We got a question from Najiba. What is the criteria of the country or place you decide to do the energy access?
Can you specify what do you mean by criteria? Sorry, I'm not able to see the chat. I'm going to stop participating,
like,
so I can see it.
Yeah.
What's the criteria of the country place you decide to do?
Okay.
Yeah. So
economic or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. I can explain that. Well, as I'm just a fellow, so I don't have much access to why Matt, who is our boss, decided to go to Lesotho. I can tell you that many of these countries have these projects being pushed forward past the developing stage, thanks to a lot of the foundations that give money that allow security from risk-adverse banking entities. As an example, Société Générale, which is a French bank that is mainly in Africa, does a lot of these projects for solar energy access and energy access overall with wind turbines as well, or other technologies. But the issue that they try to avoid is that there's some difficulties in the risk of installation and destruction, and then also access to those locations. So in the end, some banks pull out, and thanks to these foundations, such as European foundations for energy, renewable energy, or American ones, it gives some, like I guess, like a financial leveled ground for these companies to push forward. Why did we end up going for Lesotho? Well, our boss actually lived there for a few years in Peace Corp. And so he has some roots and connections over there. And that's why Lesotho is there. In the end, many of these companies that are actually developers, many of them, the bosses or the people who are in operation, have some roots in the area. So that's why. I hope that answers it.
I think yes.
Yeah, that's a great insight. Thank you.
No problem.
Any other question on that? Otherwise, we would just move on to put the thesis part and opportunities after the master.
Well, I wanted to say that if anyone is really interested in these types of projects, I have a lot of knowledge in many of these companies. Some of them work in Equatorial Guinea, others in Ghana, some in Ivory Coast and in Sierra Leone. So if any of you are interested, and once you finish university, I can keep you and put you in contact with many of these people, and you might get a graduate job from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's move on. Like, thanks, Antonio. So let's talk a bit. So this is now really open for all of us. So if you want to interrupt or question anything, just do it immediately. Like let's talk a bit about the master thesis and experience. Like, Antonio, what was your experience about the master thesis? Like, when does it start? When you should start working on it and all this stuff. What was your experience?
Yeah, so the dissertation and the whole master's thesis, as I said in my presentation, it's best if you start now, getting some semblance of idea of what you enjoy. I don't mean really plan out everything in detail, only that go into the things that you really like from everything you've done in first semester, because from there, you've done the most difficult part, finding something you actually enjoy doing and like, because the dissertation is going to be like a job. You're going to be working the whole summer. You're going to be writing a lot, doing a lot of research and a lot of reading. And if you don't like what you're doing, you're going to find it boring, and you're going to stress out in the end. So that's my tip. Really start finding the things you like now, because in the end, with your supervisor, you will be able to brainstorm a lot of ideas and then find something that is really interesting for you. And from there, it's very easy.
Okay, I think that's good. Like, maybe like from my experience wise, I found my topic really quick. I mean, I was just contacting like one of the supervisors, like one of the professors, and I just asked, hey, like, what are you doing? I just want to find my topic and let's start. So I basically did that, I think in December as well, end of December. It took a while until the topic was set. But actually what you can do if you want is, you can start now. Like, you can read now, you can do some preliminary research. You can start now and have a, let's say, more relaxed summer. I know that other people, I mean, they found the topic in May. So practically when everything, like when you should know what's going on, and even did like you should have finished your review and all this stuff. They just did that in May, and that was so late, and people struggled a lot with time, because 3 months is nothing for 50 to 80 pages, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my recommendation. So, I mean, there are two ways. You join either a guy, me or others, with a research topic. Like in my case, you can learn some data science, or you just find your own topic. which can be sometimes challenging because the world is really big, the energy world.
Yeah.
I mean, in the best case, it's really the best case is if someone is doing something in the field which interests you, just try to join them somehow.
Speak to your professors as well. That's another one. If you enjoy what they're teaching you.
Exactly. I mean, they give you guidance. If they have no clue about the topic, they cannot really guide you.
I can also give you some experiences because I did my dissertation through the whole COVID as well. So hopefully everything cleans out after February with all the vaccinations. But if there's still, difficulty in accessing facilities, I can tell you that for us, we did have a lot of difficulty in having concrete dates for mission statements or access to literature review through books. And that is something, again, as Max said, is best to start now and really get some of the details and reading done, because in the end, you never know what's going to happen that is going to prevent you from getting access to knowledge. And rushing a project in 3 months through summer is an impossible task. And I say this because I did the opposite. This is why you can always trust what I'm saying, because my topic was about tidal energy and mapping for sensors, not something I was really interested in. The topic was actually imposed by me from my supervisor. It wasn't something we brainstormed together. And because of COVID, I didn't have any access to books or knowledge, or actually the flow wave lab, which was the thing I was going to use. So I had to really work on my own through a lot of weird softwares through the 3 months, and ended up getting a good grade, but not the best grade I could have gotten. So this is why every recommendation I'm going to do is something that I've learned from experience to not do.
Yeah, good insight.
Yeah.
And I think actually sometimes, or like at least in my year, like we had really, like we received late information on the thesis. Like I think they should give you this information on the thesis before the holiday starts, so you can just in a relaxed way inform yourself during Christmas time, and take this opportunity, this time you have to slowly move, like work on your thesis. Yeah, it was a bit confusing, I think, with I'm not sure which professor was responsible for that. Yeah. Like, are there any questions on the thesis stuff? Like, are you already briefed on the thesis? Just
not really. I mean, we got some sort of survey we had to fill up regarding what were you interested in.
Yeah.
There were a couple of options. That's it. And I think they actually needed that because they have to arrange how they're going to handle, I don't know, maybe
supervisors. That's
that.
what they did with us last year. They give you some ideas on what you're interested in. I was really interested in marine, and I ended up with a supervisor from the Flowway lab. So this is why I'm telling everyone, and you can always change your supervisor and topic.
Yeah.
Always. So it's not concrete, it's not set in stone. So that's why I'm saying right now, really look into the things you really like.
I mean, otherwise they would just assign you someone, and that's why they're asking for, like, I think I got also a mail, like they're asking now everyone, hey, you have an industry topic, you have like a topic to offer. Like, I think you will maybe get a list of topics and then can choose some stuff. And of course you can, other options to propose something yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, apart from that, we haven't actually been briefed much about the thesis at all. So
yeah, exactly. That was the same thing in my case. But I wish they would do it before.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, me too. I mean, and with also, I mean, your feedback, yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah, like you have a much more relaxed summer, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like is there any other question on thesis stuff?
Well, when you were talking about like the thing of like cooperating with you and that stuff, like I mean, I guess I'll just email you later. I think it's quite interesting. So, I mean, I really want to go like a bit further into like some data analysis.
Like definitely something you can learn. But I mean, we can have this. Like we can have a talk again in more detail discussing some topics I have.
Yeah.
Sure. From anyone else, a question maybe?
It must be all hungover because we finished exams yesterday.
Ah, okay.
Makes sense.
Okay, like I mean, the good thing is we can share all this stuff afterwards. Like, did you party at least a bit?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is good to celebrate. It is good to celebrate.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, we had fun. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, let's maybe move on with the opportunities after the master, like how to get a job, you know, how to apply, when to apply, all that stuff. Maybe it's also interesting for you guys. Antonio, like, what was your approach? I mean, you just got a job now, right?
Yeah. Well, I as I said, don't do what I do. I took the different approach than my colleagues. I applied after doing the dissertation in around August. And so currently, because of the COVID situation, there's a lot of jobs, but there's also a lot of jobs that ask for 2 years plus experience. But the good thing about that as well is there's a lot of graduate jobs that are internships or stages, fellowships, and some of them are paid. So I really recommend to go into LinkedIn, go into My Career, in Going Global, all of these different websites, and really like put your CV over there, contact people, and yeah, and some things will pop out, and you'll have interviews, and you'll find a job. And one tip and trick that I've been told by the My Career team from the university is also, once you graduate, join in the alumni in LinkedIn and ask people such as me, Max, or any of the other graduates from SES on how they found their jobs, what they're doing, and if they can introduce you to the companies they're working at. You might be amazed how easy it is from there to find a job.
Like what I remember, some people used definitely LinkedIn apply and clicking like this easy apply thing, easy apply button. So one click, one application, something like that. Yeah, and I mean, like one guy, he had so many interviews and he got like one job directly after the master. But yeah, I think he switched actually his position. So he was, even after he got a job, he was still applying and switching companies. He never stopped. I think he's maybe still looking for some new jobs. Yeah, like just applying a lot helps. You know, like if you just apply once, the chances like yes or no, one thing. If you apply 50 times, you got maybe lucky at one of these options. Another thing, what I figured out, maybe try to get like, try to think about where you want to work roughly, and maybe align your thesis topic with that work. So like for my applications, also in industry and all this stuff, I got accepted for other positions as well. Like it was so helpful to just like show them, okay, I have some work experience related in your area. Like here's my thesis. It's like in this field, like I understand this field. So that was quite good. Yeah, and I mean, like maybe I should also tell something about PhD stuff. So if you're interested in a PhD, it's a bit a longer process. Like I don't like this application stuff. Like the applications are maybe 3 times as long as a normal job application. Yeah, and you just, I mean, apply also like 6 months, 7 months during the semester. You basically apply, and yeah, maybe you're lucky. And I mean, I would just recommend you do a PhD with scholarship. Like you should earn something when you're doing something like a PhD. Like I got a scholarship from the School of Engineering, and yeah, I was just lucky that something was there, and I applied and succeeded in this competition. That was the process in my sense. Yeah, like, is there anything like Antonio? What was your what do you think in the like during this interview? So what was the most helpful thing from SES? From the
Well, every time I talked about my dissertation or any project I did, I tried to tailor make the project about the company. So if I was applying to a job that was a solar company, I would talk about the projects I did in solar energy or anything I did that was solar wise. If I was talking to a marine one, I would go into the marine energy course, what I did there, similar thing to smart grids. And basically, companies want to see that you're interested on the topic they mostly work on and that you did something that kind of approaches what you did. And it also helps that if you give a little bit of more relevance in your CVs, things like that, they quite like it also more. So it's not a like barfing everything into a page of all the courses you've did this year. It's more of putting priority on the things that companies will like more and then talking about those priorities.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why I recommend, and I was recommended, to have different CVs, not just one where you just apply easy. It is a way to quantity does help, but if you have a quality CV of tailor-made companies, of this is a solar company, so I'm going to give them my solar CV. This is a energy access company, I'm just going to give you my energy access CV.
And I think that's also good what you mentioned. I had a feeling that this LinkedIn quick apply jobs, they're actually not usually the good ones. Like I think the better jobs, they're usually applied in the normal way. You have to write a CV and application, like motivation letter, and that's the way you usually apply for some cooler jobs, or what I perceived as cool. Might be also a subjective thing, but I mean, you will see.
Yeah,
definitely keep your eyes open. Maybe at the weekend, search for things you love and things you think you want to work at.
There's also one other thing that is kind of side of applying to careers, but it's something a lot of my colleagues have done this year, and it's start your own startup and designing your own company and starting your own thing. I have actually 3 colleagues who've done their own startup right now, from Scotland to Senegal, another one who are looking for Mexico, and there's also 2 that are looking into doing a startup in Ghana. So, you know, it is another venue, is another thing. It's a lot of work, but they actually, the 3 that started in Scotland and are going to Senegal have gotten some grants from the university. And one of them is actually the SES representative of last year, Catherine Fregos. If you want to contact her, you just go through LinkedIn.
I know her.
Yeah. And so it is another idea. If you're not looking for any jobs and you want to do a startup, the university can actually help you. It's a bit of a complicated process and you're going to have to work, but it is very fruitful.
Okay, there's a question from Valeria. Who's doing the startup in Mexico, Antonio?
The one who's looking to start up in Mexico is Sebastian and Ahmad, 2 of my old colleagues from SES. I can give you their contacts right now, but I think it's still in the works. And right now they're mainly just brainstorming ideas. That's why I mentioned Catherine first, because theirs is actually right now a company they've finalized everything and they're going into actual business.
Serious stuff. Cool. Like by the way, I'm also involved like in a startup thing, more in the data analytics, data science area in El Salvador. But it's also it's called Visviva. I'm gonna share that one with you in a bit. Yeah, it's like basically we are also like in the beginning of the startup world, and searching, like we have a prototype. Usually if you want to do something as a startup, build a prototype and then figure out where's your market for that startup. And having a prototype, show people like what you got, helps a lot to attract some money and all this stuff. And like we are in talks with big companies like Enel and others in this area. I think Enel is Spanish, right? I don't know. Italian, Spanish, something like that. Yeah, like usually it takes a bit of work, even after the master, when you want to start a startup. But I mean, it's a perfect time. You're still flexible. You can figure something out. Take some time to learn something and build something.
So yeah, I think we reached the time limit, unless you want to keep going for a little while. I'm in no hurry. Here in Spain is right now late, so.
Let's see if there's some question. I think actually we talked about everything. I mean, unless there are no question, we would just finish the session.
Yeah, it was good. It was really clear. It was nice. Yeah, thank you guys.
No problem. And sorry if I speak too fast. It's the Spanish curse.
Oh, no worries.
Okay, I'm just going to share you, Valeria, with you the homepage from Visviva.
Oh, people are asking for Catherine's. It's Catherine with a K.
Catherine Fragos, and maybe we can share the profile as well.
Yeah. Do you want to do that, or do you want me to do that?
Okay, link from Visviva and then from Catherine.
Her and Matti, which Matti was also another of our SES representatives. Both of them were co-representatives. They both are in the startup with Michelle Stevens, I think it was. And the three of them are amazing engineers and amazing women. So,
and I think she did also something in modeling. Like I remember she asked me like, how's it going with the modeling stuff?
She did a dissertation in modeling a small island in the coast of Scotland.
Yeah, remember that.
So yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Any issues with the SES, you can always contact her. She's very friendly and she does help a lot.
Catherine, right?
Yeah. We shared the link.
Like yeah, it's in the chat now. Okay, guys. I think no questions are coming in. Like we share the link from the session. I don't know, somewhere like with Christian, and he will share that with you. Yeah, like if you have any questions, please contact us, like Kay, Mick, or Antonio, or me. We are all accessible via email, LinkedIn, or WhatsApp. Yeah, just send us a message and we can figure something out to help you.